My camera will be up.
Welcome to another Grounded TV live stream. We're going to be going over the Ruby Dhalla, well, I guess call it scandal if you want. Saul will have his camera up in a second, as he was saying, before I cut him off with
yeah, I'm here, guys.
Stream. He's going to be coming in. He's just a spinning circle right now until he gets his, until he stops buffering, gets his camera up. But yeah, so we're going to be diving into this. I am kind of diving in a little blind to this. I'm not going to lie. I didn't take her very seriously as a candidate for liberal leadership. I just honestly, I was paying attention off stream to what was going on with her. I saw the foreign interference allegations. And this interview was like, we're going to start with, because I wasn't sure if Saul was going to be in right away, is starting with the kind of precursor to all this. And then we're going to get into the big headline that is going all across Canada right now, because CBC News told her live on air she was being removed and she didn't even know, apparently. So
with Cochrane, yeah.
That's the story. So we're going to, David Cochrane of all guys there, eh? So we're going to be getting right into it. We're going to start with this CPAC interview. It's 5 minutes. She did this prior to this whole scandal. So we're going to get right into this. This is her trying to clear her name about the foreign interference meddling. So yeah, this is what with about the donations, right? Like they were asking where is this money coming from, and there's been some allegedly compromised funds that they couldn't disclose, and a lot significantly more than what is, apparently there's an average amount considered.
She broke financial disclosure rules, and there was, I guess, she didn't declare that there was a foreign national in her campaign staff, and that's actually like an Elections Canada rule. It amounts to foreign interference if you don't declare it.
Okay, well, we're gonna jump right into this.
Are on those stories in a moment. But first to the Liberal leadership race and former Liberal MP Ruby Dhalla. This morning, the Globe and Mail publishing a story about Ms. Dhalla's campaign, citing unnamed Liberal sources that claim the party had sent the leadership hopeful a list of questions. The sources reportedly said the questions raised concerns about possible foreign interference and campaign irregularities. Now, later in the day, the Liberal Party denied their party's questions had anything to do with foreign interference from India. And now to address the questions herself is Ruby Dhalla. Ms. Dhalla, thank you for taking the time and joining us.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
So, as I said, the party says its questions had nothing to do with foreign interference. So I was wondering if you might clarify then what the questions were that was being asked of you.
It's internal party matters.
Here, I'm listening.
So I cannot comment, but
yeah, no worries. And you might hear some giggling in the back because my kid's just cackling down the hallway. So.
We did put forward a set of questions. We have given all of the requested information along with all of the supporting documentation that they requested. I was very shocked to read in the Globe this morning that there are these sources within the Liberal Party talking about foreign interference, and I can categorically say that it is completely false. It is unacceptable. I was born and raised here in Canada. I am running for the leadership of the Liberal Party of Canada and as Canada's next Prime Minister, and to insinuate because I am of Indian origin, because I am a woman of color from a multicultural community in Canada, to paint me with a brush of foreign interference as I'm running for one of the top leadership jobs of our country, it's simply unacceptable.
I hear what you are saying, but are you making that jump? Because they are, the Globe and Mail citing two unnamed sources saying that there were concerns around foreign interference, but you're making the jump that it is because of your Indian heritage.
Well, I will certainly not allow, anyone who is seeking any type of elected office in our country who is from an immigrant community or a multicultural community or someone of color to be painted with this brush of foreign interference. It is unacceptable. I know that I am making history by being the first woman of color who is running, for the leadership and as Canada's Prime Minister. And it is very important that the integrity of the process never be compromised. But I just found it shocking because I have been born and raised here. I have dedicated.
Yeah, and that's the thing is typically you think a woman of her status would be they would rally behind her, but there was some things she was saying that definitely weren't towing the line. So I see where people's suspicions are coming from, because she was like the only one with a completely different platform than the rest. Right, like none of them were talking about deportation and things. Like she was almost like, it was almost conservative rhetoric at some points. You know what I mean? Like. It's just
and if something I gotta say is that if you were another country trying to interfere with a leadership race, which kind of candidate would you support? Would you support one of the ones who might actually become the leader, or would you support the most wild candidate in the race who's most likely to kind of put a fork in everything and just kind of cause some confusion and
like vote splitting,
perhaps steal time in the debate too? And there's also this thing where there wasn't a barrier for entry for people to sign up for Liberal Party membership, which I think was a huge mistake. They should have just made it like $10 or something. I don't know why they had to just make it free, so that now there's like tons and tons of people who aren't even Liberals becoming members for free and voting in this. And then all of a sudden there's this candidate who's voicing mostly right-wing opinions, right? I'm not saying that it for sure is. I'm not saying that she knows about it. I'm just saying if I was another country, that would be the funniest candidate to give a bunch of money to, for sure, right?
Well, anyways, I look at this as like, you know, I'm not going to get into specifics, but at the end of the day, we're going to get into the details. Saul's given me some details that he's found out behind the scenes. I haven't really dove into this yet, so we're going to dive into it now. But let's just push forward with this. This is kind of just the whole foreign interference situation that was the main catalyst of this whole disqualification in my mind.
Dedicated my life to the party, to public service in Canada, and I have spent my time on the campaign talking about real results, talking about issues that impact so many Canadian families.
Now, when you look at the report, they are citing unnamed sources. They say there are questions being raised, these sources, there are questions being raised about possible foreign interference. But when you go on into the report, there are also questions in the report itself about donations from 12 individuals and campaign staffers who work for your various companies, several of them donating to your campaign with the same credit card. How do you explain that?
Well, there are only a few people that have donated to the campaign with the same credit card. There is nothing wrong with that. An attestation was requested by the party, which is the rules of Elections Canada, and the attestations for those individuals having the same joint bank account was submitted, and there should be absolutely no issue with that because it is within the law, and we have ensured that all of our donations are compliant with Elections Canada.
So your campaign has investigated these concerns and what have come to the conclusion that.
Well, we'll find out, right?
There was,
this is what she's being
yeah, there was two different. Her campaign gave two different explanations for the same thing.
Hurricane is saying she showed the receipts. So
which receipts? Which excuse did she have the receipts for? Because initially they said that it was six different families. The initial excuse was that
you're coming in pretty good.
Six
faith,
different. Well, I read a whole bunch of it because initially I didn't know what it was, and I was like, "What is this? Why are they kicking her out? Why would they?" Because it obviously doesn't look great, right? Like it looks like they're kicking somebody out because they think they're competitive. That's what the appearance is. But from what I read, is there was two separate committees that reviewed all the evidence, and they concluded that she broke at least 10 campaign rules. 10, at least 10. That's what they said. And then her initial
funds, like there was.
The compromised funds was the one that she initially said that it was. She said that it was two sets of people from 6 different homes made maximum contributions from the same credit card, and that they got flagged and that it was all good and it was just being cleared by the party, and then it would all go into her campaign funds. And then afterwards they said that the people actually, they made the donations on her website when it was past the donation deadline, and that they were supposed to make it on the official website, and that it was a mistake and that they were going to clear it up. And then it comes out that there was some multiple families donating from the same house. That was one of the issues. And there's like a list, I guess. I wrote this down actually.
I'll just I'm going to press play on the video here, and I just gotta get up for 1 second.
Sure.
There's nothing untoward about them.
Well, there was nothing wrong because you can, according to Elections Canada, have a husband and wife, which was a situation in our campaign, who donated with the same bank, with the same credit card, as long as they have a joint account. And the people, that had done that have provided the attestations to Elections Canada, to ensure that they are in compliance. And it was the Liberal Party of Canada who directly contacted those members to seek that attestation, which is a requirement. So all donations to our campaign have been compliant with Elections Canada. And
forgive me, I'm trying to understand this then. Is it, for example, one family then using the same credit card to make different donations?
It's a husband and wife who have a single bank account, which is probably familiar to many people. They have one bank account, and they have so it's a joint bank account, and they have used their credit card as a family that they have for the husband and the wife both donating to the campaign.
Okay. Although, again, the report seems to cite 12 individuals, 6 couples amongst them using the same credit card.
I have my kid home today, so just give me a second here. I'm just going to press play on this again.
Yeah,
Sorry, guys.
Yes, there are 6 couples in that situation from the hundreds of donations that we received.
So 6 couples using 6 different credit cards, but 6 couples on one.
No, 6 couples using 6 different credit cards because there are 6 separate husbands and wives and 6 separate families.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Now, you know, of course, this report comes out just days ahead of the first of 2 leadership debates to take place with the Liberal Party. Does this affect your participation in those debates whatsoever, the report that came out today?
Well, I certainly hope not, because I have been spending not even days but weeks preparing for the debate. I'm looking forward to getting on to the debate stage of taking a look at sharing my vision for Canadians, for the future of our party, about bringing it back to the center, talking about the issues of unaffordability in housing, the increase in crime rate in our country, the increase in grocery prices, and also talking about the challenges that business people and entrepreneurs are facing with the overburdening of tax. I'm looking forward to having Mr. Carney on stage, because our internal polling is showing that Mr. Carney and myself are running neck to neck.
Just, can you pause for a sec?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying to Hurricane, the lady that gave the 2 explanations, it was Dhalla's spokesperson, J.C. LaFontaine. The initial explanation was 6 couples donated using the same credit card. That's what Ruby's saying right now. But LaFontaine also said the remittance occurred because donors mistakenly used the donation link on the campaign's website instead of the official Liberal Party link. She said the party required using its site for donations after a certain date, but some donors were unaware of the change. Once this error was identified, the contributions were refunded and the donors were subsequently directed to use the correct link, she wrote. The party said the requirement to complete attestation forms is this is about the other thing. But yeah, the big thing that you're supposed to do is if you're doing these multiple donations from the same house, there's a form you have to fill out for it to say that, yeah, we're using the same credit card, but we're a couple that uses the same one, right? And there was 6, she said that 6 people didn't fill those out, and that was the issue. And then she said it was the website thing, the LaFontaine lady.
Okay. Well, pretty much there's like 1 minute left on this, and then we'll be diving into the CBC video where apparently she found out on air that she was being disqualified.
Particular leadership race, so I'm looking forward to a robust and a vigorous debate with Mr. Carney and all of the candidates.
Has the questions that circulated today, do you think that has had a negative impact on your campaign?
Well, they're completely false, because I don't know if you've seen, but about an hour.
That's the thing too. It could have been her team making this mistake and not her direction.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe she thought she was in the right and everything was good. So maybe it is kind of BS. If they can prove she was unaware, then maybe it's kind of BS she was disqualified. I don't know, right? Like,
you know, and I just want to give one quick explanation, because I think that people kind of misunderstand sometimes, or not misunderstand, but like it's very easy to not get what the foreign interference is trying to accomplish. Their main goal is just confusion. Right. And so I don't think it's outside of the question that maybe someone was volunteering with their campaign and they were working with a foreign government to sabotage her, because they knew that this would happen, that she'd get kicked out of the campaign. And now there's this whole big scandal of they're accusing the only Indian person running for foreign interference. And it's like mostly just kind of financial rules that are set out by the Liberal parties.
I guess like he
got kicked out because he's not a citizen. He can't speak French. She can't speak French either. She was demanding a French translator at the debate.
He's not even a citizen?
No, he's a citizen. He wasn't born here is what I meant to say. Sorry.
Honestly, I don't even think he's been here for, like, when I did the math, he's been here for like 10 years. It's like not even.
No, it was more than that, but he was pretty old when he came.
Dude, he went to university in the early 2000s in India. And then he lived there for a long time as well. Like, maybe he was in Canada before that, maybe came back and forth. But like, I just think you're really disconnected from the Canadian people if that's your lifestyle. Like, you're not going to know how the average day Canadian lives their life if you're literally not even in the country half the time. And I guess that's also.
Well, I just think you should at least too, right? the French thing seems like a really easy, like a good portion of the country speaks French. Just I mean, lots of people learn French and they're not becoming prime minister of the country, right?
So let's just get into the.
I don't think it's
CBC
that big of a requirement.
Because, we've been talking quite a bit, and I think we should move on. And yeah, we're going to be getting to that as well. Sarah's spare corner. following this video. So we're going to start with this. This is so I just wanted to start off with the events leading up to. Now this is the apparent bombshell that happened on CBC. I guess not last night, on Thursday. I guess it was last night or Thursday evening. I think it's like 15 hours ago, 21 hours ago. Sorry. So yeah, it was yesterday morning.
Thank you for joining us. Have you received official word yet from the Liberal Party on your disqualification from this race?
I haven't as of yet. It's quite interesting that
I think the
turned on
credit card
CBC.
thing is not the only issue,
seems
just
like
so
they
everybody
took,
knows.
you know,
I don't think that's what it
From
was.
what I'm hearing, it seems like they took if I was to put money on this, they didn't like what she was saying. They saw the first thing she did wrong, and boom, you're out. And that's what they're waiting for. You know, and like, we'll find out more. We'll get into more of it. To me, like, the way that Mark Carney has kind of slid right in, and it is almost like they're just like paving the way for him. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
just
but
because it's
can
like,
we just
no,
can we just stop
don't
for a
cut-
second?
Can you just not cut me off? Because I'm trying to
Sorry.
say, it's like,
Sorry.
is this a coronation, or do they just see which way the wind is blowing and they're rallying to support the one that they think is going to go the furthest? That's what I was saying, right? Is this just because
Okay, sorry,
he's
yeah.
popular?
I cut you off too early.
That's what I was trying to say, right? And
all I wanted.
yeah.
Sorry, all I wanted to say was that she was never going to win the leadership. And even if she was, why would you want this person who doesn't really know how to fill out forms properly? I mean, this lady would also become prime minister right away and would be in charge of whether or not we hold an election, right? Is this seriously somebody that we want running the country right now in the interim between Poilievre? Or do we want somebody who's already said they're going to declare an election right away? I mean, we can say maybe he won't, maybe Mark won't, maybe I'll be wrong. He'll lose my vote. If he holds off too long, that'll make me think that that's not what you said you were going to do. This is way too soon. You haven't even been elected yet, right? Like, you got nominated as the party leader. That's it. So just if you have to get something quickly done, bipartisan border stuff for the tariffs, that's fine. But immediately after that, election right away, right? I don't know if she's going to do that. And I don't know. You know, like, are we seriously saying that, like, this is who we wanted to win the Liberal partyship race? And did we think that was a possibility? Like, I don't know. I just don't see this as like, they didn't need to do this.
Okay.
She was already going to lose.
Say that, but I think that they were worried about the Liberal brand being damaged by her. So they just wanted to push her out. And I don't think they expected her to be so loud. And I think that's what they're going to see, is her being very loud and, you know, and not quietly leaving. And I think
she's going to be louder now.
Some of the stuff she's been saying, like, no other Liberals saying it, they were disapproving of what she was saying. Like, to me, it seems a little sus that it's like the first thing you're just booting her out. I don't think she would have had any chance of becoming a liberal leader anyways, honestly. I'm just going to throw
something out here. If she ends up leaving the Liberal Party and starting her own podcast / show that she starts doing and uses this to launch her career in media, I want an apology from some people, because that's what this looks like to me. This looks like it might have even been, she's going to gain from this. She only stands to gain from this financially. Okay. I think she's going to get she might, because she can just leave the party now and start.
There's a lot of money lost. And if you get disqualified,
it was donations.
But I think if you're disqualified, don't you have to pay those?
It's not her money.
But if they're disqualified, and the donors come after her at all? Like, if she's disqualified for some,
a lot of the donors already got their money.
Let's just get into this. Let's stop speculating here, because I'm just speculating. Maybe you're not, but I am. So I want to finish this, and then we'll dive more into it.
News and
I am speculating on that part, by the way. That's me being trying to play future predictor.
Yeah, she is a doctor.
Qualified from the race. I checked my email, my campaign team has, and as of this moment, we have not received any indication from the Liberal Party as to that type of decision, which to me is very alarming and very shocking, that there are these types of leaks, from sources that are occurring.
We have just received a statement from the Liberal Party, Ms. Dhalla. I swear this just came into my email. It's a statement by Azam Ismail, who is the Liberal Party of Canada National Director, on Ruby Dhalla's candidacy for leader of the Liberal Party. Today, the Liberal Leadership Vote Committee unanimously made the decision to disqualify Ruby Dhalla. The decision followed an extensive process and review, including interviews, questionnaires, and an opportunity for Dr. Dhalla to directly address the committees. After a thorough
she doesn't even look surprised right now. What's going on?
The Leadership Expense Committee, sitting jointly, unanimously determined that Dr. Dhalla was in breach of.
She looks happy. What is happening?
Well, there's a lot of work been done.
She's smirking. Let's just that's true.
I haven't seen her make any other expression ever in the last 10 years. So that's the point.
of the national Liberal leadership rules, leadership vote rules, and the leadership expense rules. The violations include concerns about alleged violations of the Canada
He
Elections
probably
Act,
got notified by somebody in the background,
And
North
other
West
election-
Coast.
Okay, are we gonna stop interrupting? We're gonna listen to this now.
Yep.
finance
Yeah. Sorry,
matters,
answering the chat.
non-disclosure of material facts, and inaccurate financial reporting. The Leadership Vote Committee determined that the violations were extremely serious and accepted the recommendation of the Chief Electoral Officer and disqualified Dr. Dhalla under Section 8 of the National Leadership Rules. I'm assuming this is the first you are hearing this statement. What do you say that it was unanimous that there were 10 violations of those various rules?
Well, I think it speaks to the state of the Liberal Party of Canada that a candidate who is running to become leader of the party, who is running to become prime minister in our country, is finding out that she has been disqualified on air from an email that the media outlet that she is interviewing with has received. So it is very alarming and very shocking. It is certainly not surprising, because I think the Liberal Party of Canada was seeing exactly what our internal polls are telling us, that my campaign and my team, we were neck to neck with a front runner in the race. They did not want me to go on to that debate stage in Montreal. They certainly did not want me on that ballot. And the Liberal Party of Canada wanted to complete the coronation of Mark Carney. All of the allegations that you have mentioned have been, that you have spoken about, they are completely false. They are fabricated. And I will not allow the Liberal Party of Canada, or anyone for that matter, to smear my name or to smear the name of thousands of volunteers in our campaign.
You said you had.
Okay, I just want to listen to that one more time because I'm just curious about this. Like, I just want to listen to this part one more time. Just want to analyze what she's saying. Try and look at her facial expressions. There's not much going on, but
it sounds a little prepared. I think she knew that this was going to happen too.
Okay.
Those various rules.
Well, I think it speaks to the state of the Liberal Party of Canada that a candidate who is running to become leader of the party, who is running to become prime minister in our country, is finding out that she has been disqualified on air from an email that the media outlet that she is interviewing with has received. So
to me, I feel like she must have known this was a possibility. She must have gone on air at the same time. She knew she was being investigated. This was being brought out potentially, because like she seems like she is pissed, but she expected it. That's what I'm getting so far. Yeah. I don't know about you guys.
It is very.
Yeah, I believe that she's upset about it. I just think she knew this was going to happen.
It is certainly not surprising, because I think the Liberal Party of Canada was seeing exactly what our internal polls are telling us, that my campaign and my team, we were neck to neck with a front runner in the.
So which front runner is she talking about? Is she talking about Carney here? Is she? I didn't see any polls where they were neck to neck with Carney. Like maybe Gould and her were pretty even, and I think she was at a point a little bit higher, like maybe near Freeland. But I think Freeland wasn't really. I don't like Freeland as I guess maybe Freeland's a front runner. But none of them are polling very well at all. Like, yeah, they're all like 20 or less, you know, like none of them have over 30 to 40% polling at all.
I shouldn't be trying to read her facial expressions either. That's not really, I am being bad faith a little bit here. I do think this sounds like a little bit of prepared statement, but I'll admit, you're right, Hurricane.
It's the media. Like, is it really not some kind of performance sometimes? Like, it's.
I just think she knew she was being investigated at the least,
you know, it
right?
Could be for legal reasons. Maybe she got some insider information, but for legal reasons, she had to pretend like she found out on air potentially, like she couldn't.
Well, she knew she was being investigated at the least because she was a part of those. They interviewed her. They gave her a chance to respond to all the criticisms and to defend herself. Two separate committees. They both they all unanimously voted that she had broken the rules.
They did not want me to go on to that debate stage in Montreal. They certainly did not want me on that ballot. And the Liberal Party of Canada wanted to complete the coronation of Mark Carney. All of the allegations that you have mentioned have been, you know.
So apparently, we got someone in the chat saying, according to a post on her Instagram, her polls were showing close with Carney. Yeah, I don't know where she was getting. I didn't see any of those. Like I don't know where they're coming from either. Personally, the ones I saw, it was all Mark Carney in the lead. The one I made fun of a while ago was None of the Above was in the lead between Carney, Freeland, and Gould.
Why does Phil think that this is like Jody Wilson-Raybould? I don't think this is anything like that.
No, Jody Wilson-Raybould seems a little bit. That was a much different situation. She was in cabinet. She was in, like, you know, she was.
Yeah, she quit.
Yeah, that
she's based. I respect Jody Wilson-Raybould. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't think that she's necessarily at fault here, but at the very least, her team is.
that you have spoken about. They are completely false. They are fabricated. And I will not allow the Liberal Party of Canada, or anyone for that matter, to smear my name or to smear the name of thousands of volunteers in our campaign.
You said you had an opportunity to present to the committee that made this decision today, correct? What did you say to them?
Yes.
What did you say?
You know, on the committee, they had members from the voting committee, from the expense committee. This committee has been kept secret from all of the candidates. The candidates have been asking who are the members of this committee. It wasn't until today, when I actually presented to them via a virtual call, that I was even made aware of who the individuals were. Neither was time taken for anyone to even introduce themselves. But regardless, no matter what we said and what proof was provided that these violations, you know, were not committed, that this was simply false and fabricated breaches that the party is alleging, they still had a predetermined agenda to keep Ruby Dhalla off of the ballot, to keep Ruby Dhalla out of the debate stage, because they did not want anyone challenging the front runner, their blue-eyed boy, Mark Carney.
Okay, you make that allegation. You say you have thousands.
The blue-eyed boy. Okay, now just pull out the race card there a little bit. All right, let's keep listening though. Saul's being a little bit condescending, but
I'm sorry, guys.
We'll look past that. It's typical Liberal over here. So
yeah,
thousands of people in your volunteers in your organization. I've not seen any polling anywhere that puts you neck and neck with Mark Carney. If anything, he has a commanding lead over even Chrystia Freeland and Karina Gould, who in some form are second and third amongst Liberals and amongst Canadians. I mean, what are you basing this on, that you were the threat to Mr. Carney?
Well, I'm the only one that was the outsider in the race. I am the only candidate that has not been an advisor to the current administration. I am the only candidate that has not served as a minister or a member of parliament. I am the only one that was an outsider that was continuing to challenge the front runner, continuing to challenge.
Carney has never been a minister technically in parliament.
Or a member of parliament.
He was the governor of the Bank of Canada. He's like a Tiff Macklin kind of guy. So just as close to a politician as I think a banker gets, but technically, I feel like you're a public figure, but technically you're not an elected politician, right? You're still a public figure, though.
She has been a member of parliament. She was 2004 to 2011.
Let's rewind. Let's make sure we got that.
Because has not served as been an advisor to the outsider in the race.
Mr. Carney.
Well, I
think she was a minister too, wasn't she?
Stop talking. Let's just listen to what she says again. I want to hear it.
Sorry.
I need to.
Outsider in the race. I am the only candidate that has not been an advisor to the current administration. I am the only candidate that has not served as a minister or a member of parliament. I am the only one.
Okay, so I am the only candidate that has not served as a minister or a member of parliament. All right, Saul, fact checker. Let's see what is it.
She was 2004 to 2011. She was a member of parliament.
So this is making her look real trustworthy, guys. Okay, so let's just rewind that again, because like when I understand and send me that,
I don't know if unless I'm misunderstanding what
she's
she's
on the screen and put it next to her face as we let her say this, because I'm just curious. Let's just rewind it one more time.
Only candidate that has not been an advisor to the current administration. I am the only candidate that has not served as a minister or a member of parliament. I am the only one.
Yeah, she didn't say in this administration. She said just ever left it open. Said she has not advised this administration, meaning she might have advised previous ones. So
she's in Paul Martin's
was an outsider that was continuing to challenge the front runner, continuing to challenge and speak out for the establishment, and also bringing forward policies which I thought were very important to bring our party back to the center, to return our party back into the hands of the membership and the grassroots. And when I talk about these polling numbers, this was and is going to be a preferential ballot where people mark 1, 2, 3, or 4. And even though people may be supporting Mark Carney as their number one choice, they were looking at supporting Ruby Dhalla for their second choice, along with the other thousands of members that.
So I haven't seen any polls that reflect that for Liberal leadership race. I have not seen any of that. It's literally every single one between Carney and Freeland that I've seen. Bayless is off to the side, and Karina Gould in the back, just like no one cares about her. So it's, to me already, like she's kind of lied. Well, not lied. I guess she's lied. She's pulled a Christy Clark here on air already in this interview.
She was
so.
the Liberal Party's official opposition critic for Service Canada.
Yeah, well, she did
And she
say
had to
that she
step
has not
down because she
advised this administration. But all I'm
she
seeing
wrongfully terminated one of her kids' caregivers. She said they weren't actually sick, even though they were on medical leave.
Okay.
Our team
She had to
had
pay
signed
their-
up,
a
and
bunch
I
of
think
costs
that the
for it.
Liberal Party must have felt some sort of threat to the establishment, to their coronation that they wanted for their frontrunner.
Okay, you say you are an outsider. One of the allegations against you is that there was an outsider, as in a non-Canadian citizen, playing a role in your campaign, involved in the direction and support of the campaign and financially contributing to your campaign. Are you aware of a wealthy non-Canadian citizen playing a role in your campaign and donating to your campaign?
First of all, there has been no donations. Again, these are false and fabricated stories that are being made up. We have provided them with all of the information in regards to this, but if the false and fabricated, and
So she's
fake
not
allegations
aware.
continue, we have seen that they will say whatever it takes, and they did by having me disqualified in this race so that I would not participate in the debates in Montreal on Monday and Tuesday.
But is there an extremely wealthy non-Canadian citizen supporting your campaign?
No, there is not.
There is nobody from outside the country who's not a Canadian providing any kind of material support, even if it's donations of things, advising you, giving you direction in any way whatsoever. Because this is one of the allegations that I am told you were presented with. You know what I'm talking about here, I assume, Ms. Dhalla, and that was discussed at this committee this afternoon.
Yes, it was. And I can share with you that my candidacy was historic. My candidacy was historic because I was the first woman, of color. I was one of
That's
the
not
first
what he
women.
said.
He's not answering the
and-
question at all.
This is a typical liberal. What is this?
This is, I think
is
this is
this?
even worse.
Immigrant community to seek the leadership for the Liberal Party of Canada to become Canada's Prime Minister. And I had thousands of well-wishers across the world who were excited about this movement and this moment
She
for
should be
our
in
party and
Trudeau's
our
front
country.
bench with these.
Were you aware,
Weaselly
or do
answers.
you know if there was a corporation that
Why are foreigners allowed to even donate in our races, in our politics? Like, doesn't
It's
this
just hard to keep it from happening.
It just seems so stupid. Like, why would
I don't even know if they are technically allowed.
Like,
was paying money to,
Or that
some
you
of
might
your
be allowed, but
campaign
you have to
staff?
declare
Because
it.
corporations cannot donate in the political process here. This is another one of the allegations against
Oh,
you.
I don't know. Yeah, see.
The allegations list, there were 12 allegations that they presented, and I can tell you it is again false. Our campaign has not in any way been non-compliant with Elections Canada. We have ensured that we have followed all of the rules of Elections Canada. The Liberal Party
So
has come
everybody's
out.
lying except
One
for
day
her.
it was foreign interference. The next day it's about financial violations. I don't know what story is going to be coming out tomorrow, but I can tell you the fact that they have disqualified me clearly shows they did not want me on that debate stage, and they tried to use any excuse they could to ensure that I would be disqualified.
So this was an investigation, as I understand it, done, for the chief electoral officer, an assessment done. This is it's on official letterhead from a law firm. This was presented to you. This seems like quite the elaborate thing to do to keep you off the debate stage. I mean, people may look at that explanation and the process here and wonder if it's true. I mean, what do you say to anyone who's skeptical of your claims here?
Well, they took out one candidate from the South Asian community earlier on in the race, and they silenced him because he has not spoken since in regards to why he was let go. And they knew that they would not be able to silence me, and they're trying to do everything they can to cover their tracks. I do know what the truth is. I know that all of the information, was provided with them, and the allegations that they have made. One day it was again on foreign interference from the Modi government, who I haven't spoken to or been in contact with in years. And then today it was in regards to the financial, violations. They're false, they're fabricated, they're fake, and I will not let them smear the name of my campaign or the integrity of our campaign.
Well, as we discussed earlier today, before I knew about this meeting and before we knew about this decision, we did talk about your past support for Narendra Modi. as this evolved throughout the day, that does not appear to be the reason here at all. Like, that could be one political concern they have. But in terms of my understanding of the allegation against you, where there is a foreign interference component here, and I don't know if this is of the 10 violations that the party has concluded, and I don't know if you know at this point in time, but the claim was
because I haven't even received a letter yet. So maybe during this interview I might have received something, but prior to coming on
she
here,
went to the meeting. She had a chance to defend herself. She knows the charges. She has to. She has a chance to defend herself and explain. She'd already done that before she came on here. She's just lying. She has, like, I
don't know. She's been a real Christy Clark right now. That's what I'm getting from it. That's the vibe I'm getting. I do think that people, I guess, are disappointed because I guess they were hopeful about her. For like non-liberals were hopeful about her.
Yeah, I mean, it's
most who are planning on voting
I'm
liberal
disappointed too.
Don't care. Like, I don't think there's many liberals that were rallying behind her. There might have been people who felt like she was a more centrist approach, which is what the Liberal Party's been missing, sure. But to me, like, I haven't heard Mark Carney say one thing about diversity. I haven't talked about DEI stuff at all. I've heard him just talk about boring banking and economic stuff, and Pierre, as a politician, doesn't have experience. That's what I'm getting from Carney's campaign so far. And I just feel like, to me, I don't think he's really taking some kind of woke stance on anything, which I think is smart. And I think that kind of ideology is going to die with Trudeau's career, I think.
Yeah, I think that was a blip. I think that people got really, really high off their own supply with Obama because he was a like a once in a generation politician. He was just I do. I think they thought that the mandate was in their favor because Obama was so popular. And then Trudeau won, and there was like this wave of left liberal-y guys getting in charge all over the world. And then after that, then Trump and Boris Johnson and what's his face, Javier Milei, whatever, the Argentinian guy, the Brazilian guy, what's his name again? Bolsonaro,
guys. But anyway,
Bolsonaro.
Let's just we got some more stuff to get through, so we'll start push forward here.
Breaches from yourself. I have not been informed as to what the decision of the Liberal Party was, and it was actually through, the CBC that I actually heard about the decision of the Liberal Party.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into the next interview that took
place. Yeah, we were here. So before, did you just hear her?
I was just going to say, I was reading the chat that we're going to get into that interview where she shows receipts, apparently, the next
Okay.
But I'll rewind it because I did not hear what she said exactly.
Listen.
Coming on air, I just heard about the breaches from yourself. I have not been informed as to what the decision of the Liberal Party was, and it was actually through, the CBC that I actually heard about the decision of the Liberal Party.
Well, look, I'm sorry you had to find out that way.
Yeah, we were here.
We were reaching out to your campaign.
She's telling us that.
As we were getting a sense of where this was going for reaction. But I appreciate that you don't want to react to something until you know.
The Liberal Party would have reached out to me versus the CBC.
Well, yes. So, I mean, you did speak to them today. You did make your case to the committee today. And clearly,
it does seem like a bad play, honestly, this whole thing. Even Cochrane's a bad actor and all this. It seems weird. It seems fishy. Even Cochrane.
I think she knew.
Started the interview. We just got this email, unless they told her before they went on air, and then they're like, "Hey, let's just act like you just found out for more clicks." I don't know. Like,
no,
they're complaining they want more funding, so maybe that's.
Can we Occam's razor this?
They were just.
Can we Occam's razor this? Okay. Can we Occam's razor for this for a second? The most simple explanation would be she knew already, didn't tell the CBC. They start this interview, and then someone in the background finds out, hey, they made a decision today. She's kicked out of the race.
I feel like he would have asked.
And then he got notified.
Like, I feel like he would have asked. Like, I feel like that would have been a question. The fact that wasn't a question, I think is a big deal.
He said you didn't know. He asked her. He did. You can go back. I'm pretty sure he does ask her if she knew already.
But I feel like that would have been your
And he
first
says you
question.
talked to them today. You had your chance to defend.
Anyways,
didn't convince them, and I know you say this is a larger.
So they're all doing a play together.
I think so. Yeah, CBC needs more money. They're just asking for more funding.
Oh, literally. So CBC and Ruby are all in cahoots doing a show
CBC
right
needs now. Ruby needs a book and a podcast tour.
The reality TV to protect Mr. Kearney. But what do you do now? My understanding is you can appeal.
Hurricane, if you have a mic or you're on your phone, you're welcome to come to the Discord and chime in if you'd like to after we get through this. Anyone who's, I want to get a phone number on the screen so people can call in and argue with us too. I think it'll be kind of fun. Well, not fun, but I think it'll be constructive as well and as fun.
the Permanent Appeals Committee of the Liberal
I have a weird idea of what's fun, though.
Party. That would be a route that is open to you and anybody.
Oh, Great Dominion coming in clutch again.
Well, I don't believe he did it.
I did eventually get it without seeing your comment, buddy. But we and Justus were talking about you on the phone today and saying that, hey, this guy's always got good things to say in the chat. We appreciate you, buddy.
You, Ms. Dhalla.
I guess I'm going to take some time, first of all, to process what the Liberal Party has stated are the reasons for the breaches, because they have been provided with all of the evidence. If they have a preset, determined agenda, they have the establishment there. Obviously, all of the people that were on the committee are all a part of one team, and they do not want to have anyone challenging the status quo. They do not want to have anyone challenging the front runner in the Liberal leadership race, which I do not understand, because we were in an election, and in an election, it's the talking about progressive ideas. I think it is a sad day today, not only for the Liberal Party, but for democracy, for free speech here in Canada, and also for those that want a progressive policy agenda for immigrants in our country, for people of color, because with my candidacy in the race, we were making history, and it is really unfortunate that the Liberal Party didn't see it as such.
You mentioned...
This is my biggest thing. I never saw those polls where she was making history. That's my biggest thing about the one thing that's sticking out to me a lot, what she's saying. To me, I never really had any. I didn't really care.
I don't know. I think she's
before this. I'm not gonna lie. But
she's playing pretty fast and loose with the facts here, and I think it's not that crazy to think maybe she just knew already, and that she didn't tell CBC, and CBC found out.
Yeah, and I feel
halfway
like,
through the interview
I
or
feel
something.
like there are some elements of truth to what she's saying in terms of how the Liberal Party is behaving with Mark Carney and the other candidates. And don't get me wrong, it'll be the second Indo-Canadian candidate that they're going to be expelling from the race. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
yeah, I know, but like, we don't want them to be not making that decision because it looks bad. It's the same as with
but it makes them look like not the, like it's supposed to be like
but we don't want them to make a decision because it looks, we don't want them to make the wrong decision because it looks bad.
All I'm saying is that I think everyone had something to lose from this decision. They had been trying to push her out for a bit since the leadership debate was announced. It had to be in French as well, and she wanted a translator. And I feel like they could have been worried about her winning based off just they didn't want a non-French speaking candidate to run against Poilievre because they thought she'd lose. You know what I mean?
Dude, that would have stole.
They really want Quebec's support, right, with this next candidate.
How much of the debate time is going to be wasted translating for Ruby?
Don't get me wrong. I'm not arguing with that per se, and I understand Canada's history and why we do what we do, and why, because we are built.
She's not serious. Learn French if you're serious. Pierre Poilievre did it. Why can't you do it?
We'll find out. Christy Clark also was trying really hard, apparently, before she went and lied all over the place. So I just feel like this is kind of a similar situation to Christy Clark in that sense. Whereas, but
it's the most powerful position in the country. I
think it gives her kind of an out because the Liberal Party has been behaving a certain way. I think, and when I first saw this, I thought, definitely they probably just booted her out because they didn't like her. But I want to get more into this. There's supposed to be some receipts being shown, so stop interrupting and stop jumping to conclusions.
All
the facts here, because Saul's just jumping to conclusions here.
Well, I read a bunch of stuff about this. I have an opinion on it already.
Fine. Maybe I'm jumping to conclusions then.
South Asian heritage of both you and Mr. Chandra area, who were disqualified. You keep coming back to this. Do you believe race played a role in this? Because that seems to be a component of what you're saying here.
Here, I'll be right back. I'm listening.
That would be a good question for the Liberal Party because the fact.
Well, I think they might have accepted her candidacy because they wanted the money, right? There's a lot of money per candidate. I feel like that was their way of just scraping some campaign funds together.
That they've disqualified two people from immigrant communities, both from the South Asian community. I think the Liberal Party would probably be best suited to answer that question.
But what do you believe? I mean, you have mentioned this. I assume you must have mentioned this in your direct appeal to the I believe it's 12 people who were meeting today to decide on this. I mean, what is your view on this as the person who has been disqualified from the race today?
I think it's a targeted attack against all immigrants in Canada. The fact that they do not want to have people from immigrant communities represented for top leadership roles. It's okay, to get involved as a member of parliament or an MPP, but they do not want to have someone from an ethnic community running for the top position in Canada.
Well, Frank Bayless
You're pulling the race card. You're pulling the race card here. Come on.
Black. He's of mixed race heritage. I mean, he is certainly not. He has not been disqualified.
So the Liberal Party's racist now, guys. That's what she's saying. Like, there might be some of them. Might be. I don't know. I don't know them personally.
Unless there's something else I don't know about. But I mean,
maybe he'll find out from CBC News as well.
Well, I mean, Anita Anand had bowed out, but she would certainly have been allowed to run in this race, I believe. We have seen people from South Asian communities. I
was allowed to run as well.
Right.
So the party at the end of the day.
So Hurricane, we're gonna, if you want to jump in here and maybe share a few points, just jump in the waiting room in the voice channels, and I can pull you into the live stream channel.
The fact of who they have disqualified, it speaks for itself in terms of their decisions. I have been involved with the party since the age of 14. The party, during my time was always inclusive. It was not a small cabal of individuals that were making decisions, but we are seeing and have seen that the party does not want to have anyone questioning the establishment, going against the status quo of the establishment. That's why it is really important, for my team to know that this type of decision by the Liberal Party will not silence the thousands of Liberals across the country who wanted change.
Okay, this is a final point, Ms. Dhalla. They say there are 10 violations, and it was unanimous. We're talking double-digit violations and unanimity in a committee. That seems, those are both, that's critical.
Okay, we'll pull you in a sec, Hurricane.
Mass in multiple directions here to come to this decision. But you just deny that even unwittingly you may have violated financial rules?
I, said to them, I was very humble in my conversation, with the committee. If I have made any violations, please let me know. We will have them fixed. There is nothing that my auditors or my accounting team that had seen that was glaring. We provided supporting documentation, for everything. Nothing has been filed to date with Elections Canada other than, the list of donors, and that we were there to ensure that we were compliant and that we had, our financial paperwork in order to ensure that compliance. But the party refused to listen because they had a preset agenda. Everything was fine with Ruby Dhalla being in the race until Ruby Dhalla started picking up momentum and speed. Right. And this disqualification, I believe, is an attempt to have that silence, to have that momentum quieted so that they can complete the coronation for their front runner.
Well, it also came, though, when the filings had to be submitted to Elections Canada, and the look at the money trail began, and they started to assess the validity of donations, and these are financial violations. So the timeline is, with the financial reporting to Elections Canada and then that assessment, here we are today. I mean, people may look at it and say, well, this is the problem. These truly are financial violations, and this is why Ruby Dhalla has been disqualified, not an attempt.
The violations have nothing to do, and I have issued tweets on this, the violations that we were expressed with in regards to our donors had nothing to do with our campaign. If a couple chooses to use a credit card for a joint bank account that they have, then that is their choice. Our people certainly haven't asked individuals to use a selective credit card. That is a choice of a donor. The donor then had to do an attestation. It was an administrative point on behalf of the donor that had to be done. It had nothing to do with our campaign.
But was that even one of the 12 allegations? I know there were concerns about this, but the 12 allegations made against you.
I haven't seen the letter because I have been on the
but
you
she defended herself with the 12 allegations when you're presented to the committee.
Yeah. Came up today.
Okay, it's probably a good time to bring Hurricane in now. So we're gonna bring. We have one of our viewers, Hurricane, in the stream in the chat. We're gonna pull her into the stream here.
Long-time viewer, first-time caller.
All right, Hurricane, you're live on Grounded TV. Welcome to Grounded TV. I know she's been here for a while, but watching us, but she doesn't call. She's never called in before, so.
Okay, so there was a. Can you guys hear me? Because it's
we can hear you.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, so Saul, let me pull off my posture.
Hey.
Okay. Alrighty. So first and foremost, you know what? This is common. Like I keep on seeing the, 6 couples. This is nationwide. This is a common occurrence. I still volunteer for Elections Canada every,
That's awesome.
for every election. Oh yeah, I'm serious about this, right?
Yeah.
So that is so common. And if they want to play that dirty game, they better go and look at Carney, because he's already been caught on stage with various individuals that are allegedly foreign interference. And, Sam Cooper has been studying these guys for many years. Now, he does go off the deep end, but I am concerned because these have the markers. Now, in my job, this behavior we have seen. And when there is this type of consistent behavioral pattern, I have a problem. I have a problem that this was the exact same way that they came out and made their speeches against Jody Wilson-Raybould. First, they said she was a liar. Then her perceptions were wrong, which, by the way, I hate about Carney. Are perceived hardships, as he said in one of his speeches. But the behavior is consistent and constant. And I also like to say, working for the federal government, now you go through an investigation. Generally speaking, it's already predetermined. It's just like a great big show. What I have a problem here with that they had already, I'm going to guarantee you that they already predetermined that this is what they're going to axe her with, and you know what? I say kudos on her, because if it was me on camera and if it was me sitting there finding out that the decision was made, they would be bleeping me out all the time. They would have.
Well, especially if the thing was, if she didn't even know what the charges were, like she's claiming. I would agree that you'd be freaking out. I'd be freaking out too. The one thing I would say is that when you noted that Mark Carney, the probe, I read that the probe came after Elections Canada published the donation data it received from the candidates up until February 9th. The data showed 12 donations under a tab called Statement of Contributions Returned to Contributors or Remitted to the Chief Electoral Officer. So they're like flagged donations. And of the other contestants, Mark Carney and Frank Baelish each had 1, and Karina Gould had 3. And so I'm assuming that all of these got investigated. But it's important to note here that Ruby, out of all these people, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she raised the least amount of money out of the 4 people named, and she had the most flagged payments. And I'm not saying that for sure means she's guilty, and I would even say, if she's pattern, like she's appealing to an East Indian community, there's a lot of East Indian Canadians who live in the same house together and might use the same credit card. That's completely believable, right? So I don't think that's crazy on its own, but I think that's the first explanation she gave, right? And then there was the second explanation her campaign lady gave. And then on air here, they're not even saying that those 10 violations, that was all this. There's other things that they've named. They said that she broke financial contribution rules, and that she had a foreign national who was an undeclared contributor to her campaign. And those are just the things that are named. I don't know if I'm hopeful that we would find out down the road what actually happened for sure. You don't think so?
No, we're never going to find out. When they tried to say when it came to Jody, Jane, and Sabrina,
they were vindicated though.
They were vindicated because Jody had the smarts to videotape
court things. Yep, she's a genius.
Right?
That whole
smart of her, yeah.
No,
I think she was vindicated by the media. CBC, she was the darling of CBC when that happened. That's when I first started listening to CBC radio when I was driving truck all the time.
You should hear common liberal people say, how deceptive she was by recording. And I looked at them and I said,
don't think that.
When do you ever go in front of your employer and not have a recording of the meeting?
They
didn't know what to say.
I have the most respect for people who have backbones like that, people who will refuse to do something because it goes against their morals and their character. We'll bring up this is why I'm always going off gushing about Mike Pence, right? Like just somebody who at that critical moment, they didn't want to go along with what the other person was doing, right? And so I think Jody Wilson-Raybould, that's really honorable. It really shows her character. Right. And Jane Philpott and Sabrina, I can't remember her last name. She was the one who was on Jordan Peterson, right? Sabrina?
Okay, she was, but before that is she was on CBC when she first started speaking out. And I love her because as Trudeau is being condescending and,
Yeah.
the great king has bestowed you, a gift, and you have the audacity to question me.
Yeah.
And then she turns to him and says, who the F are you? And I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
that to me, those are the type of
Just
people that I
character.
want to see in a party.
Me
And
too.
the
Yeah.
Liberal Party has eliminated. There was another gentleman. His name is Wang or Wong, who was
I think I know who you're
heard,
talking about, kind of, yeah.
and the accusations proved to be false. I'm going to guarantee you. You know what? We'll make a $500 bet. I'll make a $500 bet donation that we'll never see the actual results from this so-called investigation, and they'll never be able to prove without, beyond a reasonable doubt. They won't have evidence. They flung these accusations at her, and she goes for the investigation. She makes her statements in front of the investigation, and then she goes for the CBC interview, and they're like they already made their decision. And that was my
Yeah,
point.
I think so too.
Whenever,
Yeah.
I don't think anything she could have said, done, showed would have changed their direction. And this is very consistent with any government entity. And legitimately, you have to say, the Liberal Party, once they've decided to cut up the pie and who they're going to go with. I don't know. Do you guys remember when they coronated Trudeau? It was the same thing.
No, I
He
don't
had a lot
remember
of
that personally.
momentum, though, right?
Like,
I just see. I think that
it's
Carney and
also- I just
Trump
need to
is the
interject
same
here.
thing, right? Sorry, yeah, go for it.
Saul's getting okay. So we're not talking about.
Well, I'm
Trump
just
here.
saying that if the wind is at somebody's back, the party will support them. That's what they just want. Whoever's going to be the most popular.
Is I think with Mark Carney
And
and
you see,
Trudeau
Saul,
is the same situation.
you're talking to
right?
someone that's. Oh, sorry.
I was just saying,
No, go for
I think it's the same situation when you have between Mark Carney and Trudeau, where they're all just vultures flocking to whoever they think is going to be the most successful, and they can ride the coattails of. And I think that's what they see in Mark Carney. That's what they saw in Trudeau at a point. And I definitely think this is convenient for them to be able to get rid of her. I definitely think they weren't happy with the branding she was spreading around for the Liberals. But I think in a sense, it's not the best optics for them at the same time. It might be convenient for Mark Carney, but it's not convenient for the entire party. It's bad optics. It's bad to have any candidate, even involved in a scandal like this. Like, how many Liberal candidates have been involved in so many scandals, right? And I think that they've let themselves wide open to foreign interference just because of how they constructed the entire party. And even Mark Carney has compromised funds at this point. It's not as much, but there is some compromised donations that are being questioned as well.
They said one of them got flagged, and it was a return donation. It got rejected because it got flagged or whatever, right? And they usually, if people don't,
yeah. I was just gonna say it's like Game of Thrones. Like there's a whole other movie playing behind the scenes right now. We're just seeing the performance. You know what I mean? That's kind of what politics is. And I feel like we always have to remember that. And in this situation, I feel like this is the performance of her being disqualified, her going on air, doing all this. Like I feel like it's all somewhat of a performance to a degree. I think she had to have known at least before they went on air. They started off on air reading the email. So clearly they must have had it right before it started. They probably told her before it started and then said, okay, we're going to tell you again. You can pretend like it's the first time if you want or whatever. But the thing is, she did seem just face was just a mask, right? And she has gone on to make some expressive looks. So it's not just the jokes I was making that were probably in poor taste. But all I'm trying to say is that this whole thing is somewhat of theater.
Well, if I was her friend, I would definitely tell her, quit with the Botox. Those like, don't stop it, and get rid of the fake eyelashes. That's gross.
Those are a tough one to quit though, because you start putting them in, and then your old eyelashes fall out, and you're stuck putting them on forever, right?
But I'm gonna say this. She knew that she knew that the investigation was happening. There's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to say that the most violent individuals that I've had to take down are sometimes the
laugh.
most calm, and then will flipping well smile as
Sure.
they're getting ready to strike. And
that's why I
so
said too,
don't
I
think
shouldn't have
that's
commented
smart.
on that. I shouldn't have said it was she's smiling, so that means that she knows. Like I know people do react differently, and I'm actually one of those people. If people get really confrontational with me, I laugh. It's really bad. It just makes the situation worse a lot of the time. But that's just whenever I'm in a crazy situation, I get like a huge smile on my face and I'll be like laughing. And I've been in like really, really like tense situations where everybody else is all stone faced and I'm just like beaming because I don't know. I don't know.
That's what it is.
It's like probably what it is. I just get excited. I was like, oh, what's going on?
Anyways.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, it doesn't matter how violent it is. Mm-hmm. I look like I'm like, Pippi Longstocking. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say
so that's what I wanted to say.
Angry. What were you gonna say?
That's all I wanted to say. It's like,
oh, okay. Well, hey, thanks for calling in, Hurricane. Your contributions in chat are great. I liked that you were giving your own personal experience, your stuff on the border and everything. Like, yeah, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling in. And yeah, if anyone else wants to call in as well and give their 2 cents, by all means. Like, I was just thinking of I'm gonna try and make it a little easier for you guys to call in, because we do like you guys calling in. Just the last few times where we dedicate time to call-ins, we don't get people calling in. So I feel like it has to kind of just be a standing invitation that's open always when we're caught in debates and stuff like that. And we're kind of at the point where we're about to skip to the next video here. So I was like, okay, we're done with this one. Now we'll bring you in. We'll talk with you about it a bit, where normally if you didn't call in, me and Saul would just talk, but by all means, all you guys viewing, feel free to. I think Zara has done it before. We've had her now Hurricane. We'd like to hear more from you guys, all you guys, especially you guys who watch us regularly. It's actually nice for us to know you're real people, and that we're not crazy, and we're not just thinking because like we know you're real people. I'm just joking around. I'm more poking fun at just me and Saul. That people want to listen to me and Saul. You must not be a real person.
It's a weird dynamic, you get with your audience,
But anyways,
okay.
Let's do you have any final thoughts or statements you want? Oh, she's gone. Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
okay. Didn't see that. Didn't hear that. All right. Okay, let's get to the next video here. So this is her showing the receipts apparently 12 hours later, roughly. So I think this was about, the first one was, okay, sorry, it was just a couple hours later. Not that much longer later.
With breaking news from the Liberal leadership race. CBC News has learned that a joint Liberal committee has voted unanimously to disqualify Ruby Dhalla from the competition for multiple violations of party finance rules. The decision was just made last hour by the party's Leadership Vote Committee and its Financial Committee, and a source tells CBC News that Dhalla faced allegations of 12 violations of the party's leadership rules. Those allegations include accepting donations from a corporation in the form of payments to campaign staff. Dhalla is also accused of failing to disclose the involvement of a non-Canadian citizen in her campaign, which the party alleges would have amounted to foreign interference if this level of involvement had happened during an election period. At the start of this committee meeting, Dhalla presented her case to the committee and denied any wrongdoing. Earlier this week, the Liberal Party sent Dhalla a series of questions related to irregularities involving at least $21,000 in contributions to her campaign. This came after multiple maximum donations were made and processed on the same credit card. And that money was held back while the party investigated whether the 12 donors connected to those donations had breached the contribution limits. Now, I spoke to Dhalla earlier today before this decision was made and asked her whether the concerns are related to foreign interference.
I unfortunately cannot comment on these questions that were sent because it is an internal party matter. But what I can say when it comes to foreign interference, it is certainly not the case. And I will not allow anyone to label me because I am of an Indian ethnicity. I will not allow anyone to label any immigrant, for that matter, in Canada with the airbrush of foreign interference. It is unacceptable. I realize that my candidacy in the Liberal Party is historic. I am one of the first immigrants and first, women of color running for the leadership of the party, and also to become Prime Minister of Canada. I think that painting individuals from ethnic backgrounds, from cultural communities with the airbrush of foreign interference is simply unacceptable, and it will not be tolerated.
Well, the Liberal Party would not say specifically what questions you were asked, at least publicly, but they did say the questions were not about foreign interference. But you have expressed support for Narendra Modi in the past. Do you think this is the basis of the concern here that led to these initial reports?
I'm running to become Prime Minister of Canada. My loyalty is to Canada, to Canadians. That is why my campaign has been focused talking about issues that really require results, from the leadership of our country, the issues of affordable housing and the increase in crime rates and the threat that we're facing from our U.S. neighbors. I have been focusing on what is required for Canada, for Canadians, and that has been the whole premise and the foundation for my leadership campaign.
Right, but you have close ties to Narendra Modi's party, right? You did help his party in state legislature elections in 2017. You've posted support for Mr. Modi on your social media platforms in the past. Now, all of that predates the allegations that have been made about agents of the Indian government being involved.
Title on this, Kane in the chat. The on-screen title for her is Cold AF, Disqualified Liberal Candidate. Yeah, it's like not even 2 hours later, they're already got it all labeled up and everything.
In extrajudicial killings on Canadian soil. So I wonder, Ms. Dhalla, do you still maintain your support for Narendra Modi and his party, or has your view on that shifted with the credible claims in Canada and the United States that his government has been involved in some bad things?
150% it shifted. When I was first elected in 2004 as a member of parliament in Canada from the riding of Brampton-Springdale, my election was historic, not only.
So why did she go on to say that she has never been a sitting member of parliament when she was in that? Like, I just don't get it. Why say that? Like, that must have been a misspeak on her. Like, 'cause that's why would you not advertise you're a previous MP? Like, I feel like that's a bonus. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't understand why she said that in the previous interview.
Well, she lost her seat.
Well, no, but she said, I have never been a sitting member of parliament.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That's why I was why would she have said that? I just don't get it.
Maybe she misspoke.
That's what I'm saying. It must have been a misspeak. Yeah. Now she, this apparently it's saying recorded earlier. So I don't know if it was recorded before the other one, but it seems like same background, same setup, different outfits. So I don't know when this officially was recorded, but it aired after the one we just watched.
But throughout the world, I was the first woman of Indian origin ever elected in the entire Western world as a member of parliament. Subsequent, after the years of being elected, I have done a lot of work with the Indian diaspora, both here in Canada and globally as well. The allegations that have come to light that were made about interference by India in Canada, I can tell you my commentary on that is I am here to secure the safety of Canadians. I'm here to protect Canadians. I'm here to defend, our country. I was born and raised in Canada, and my priority, my value system has always been to focus on Canadians in Canada. I don't think because of the fact that I have known, any type of political officials in the back that should be misconstrued, and neither should I ever be labeled as that being foreign interference. It's unacceptable, it's wrong, and I simply will not allow it because it will send the wrong message to other immigrants in our country who want to run for positions of leadership.
This is what I don't like, is she's clutching so hard at this race card. And I'm like, I don't think that's why they're getting ready. Like, why don't you talk about your rhetoric? Why not say I haven't been towing the line? Like, she's just clutching to this race card. And I'm like, you know what? Even if you hadn't gone disqualified, I wouldn't have liked you anyways, honestly, at this point. Because it's just, you're just being you're being what everyone doesn't want the Liberals to be anymore, which is someone who's just clutching on to this first woman of color. It's like, just stop talking. Just talk about the issues people actually give a crap about. No one cares about the first woman of color being in a position of power. It's happened many times now, especially in Canada. Nobody cares. I don't care.
The other thing too is, I would say, is Jody Wilson-Raybould, and they weren't doing. It did get played up a lot in the media, but I don't think that's what she was. She wasn't like, oh, he did this to me just because I'm a woman of color. That's. I don't think so. Maybe I'm remembering that wrong, but I think that the fact that she's focusing so much on that and not on what the accusations are actually, then it doesn't.
Yeah. What is the BS you're detecting, Genghis? I'm just curious. Is it my BS or her BS?
And I'm certainly not trying to suggest that you are, you know, an agent of a foreign government with my question. I wanted to give you a chance to respond to it. And it's why I asked about your your past support of Modi. So you say it's shifted 150%. Does that mean you no longer support Narendra Modi and his government based on what we've learned or what has been credibly accused of his government in the past couple of years?
I can only comment on the fact that my loyalty and my sole focus is on Canadians. It is on Canada, of ensuring that we secure, you know, Canadians have all the security that they need, that we defend Canadians, and that Canadians are protected from any type of foreign interference.
Okay, so after giving that defense, I asked Ruby Dhalla why $21,000 in campaign donations.
Okay, so that was a separate clip. Now they're showing, I guess, the updated clip here. So let's, maybe this is where she's going to show the receipts that people are mentioning.
Drew concerns from the Liberal Party.
The issue of $21,000 that you identified has been an administrative issue in regards to a link of how the people had donated. I believe that that has been subsequently rectified. I will be getting an update shortly as to the exact status of that, but it was simply an administrative issue for those donations that has been blown out of proportion.
Okay, so it's not going to stop you from meeting the $350,000 requirement.
Yeah, fair enough, Czar. She's trying to convince the Liberals, not me. Good point, Czar. I agree with you on that.
To get into the race, and there's no risk of
in
your view, there's no risk of disqualification over these irregularities.
Well, it should not be, because every single irregularity that has been brought forward has been related to administrative matters. It has been rectified, and I can tell you there was two irregularities identified. One was in regards to this $21,000. You know, also for transparency, there were 6 couples. I believe that a total of 12 people who donated on the same credit card. They are husband and wives, so they are spouses with a joint bank account. Elections Canada does allow, you know, for that particular type of donation to take place, as long as an attestation, you know, has been done, and that was done.
But all 12 on one credit card, Ms. Dhalla?
You know, I like David. You know, because he's asking these questions that I'm thinking. You know.
Yeah.
At some points, like, people can say what they want. I think he definitely is guarded in some of his opinions. Don't get me wrong. I think there's times I'm like, okay, come on, really. But then there's times like the Justin Trudeau interview that he probably got in trouble for. A lot of this stuff, I think. I
just like people that ask.
Have been good, but anyways.
Yeah. Have some integrity. Don't just ask people questions when
he's like the only one I've heard on CBC besides Vassy Capellos who seems like they have any integrity at all. Like Rosemary Barton, like no, I just don't. She doesn't. I don't see it.
What's his face? That guy. That one guy's not bad. He's not that bad. The one you said looks like the guy from Deadpool.
yeah. He's mini Cochrane. So yeah. It's probably like Cochrane's probably mentoring him, right? Like in those because he's like the stand-in, right? So clearly.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, we got a new member, Hurricane. Oh, thanks for being a member, Hurricane. You get a little Grounded TV next to your name now. Thanks for your support. Appreciate it. Yeah, and like, sorry, it threw me off there for what I was saying. And by the way, we appreciate all you guys' support, all you guys who subscribed and liked and everything. We really appreciate it. Helps us out, keeps us growing. So yeah, we really appreciate it. And I feel like any day now we're gonna blow up, guys, and we're gonna go viral any day now. Hopefully, maybe.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see how lucky we can be.
All 12 on one credit card? I could understand a couple using the same credit card. Six separate people. Six couples. Six, okay.
6 couples, yeah, so 6 separate.
And each couple using their own credit card, not the same credit card. This is what you're saying.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Now, Dhalla has been a controversial figure in this race.
That's how I read it at first, too. I thought it was all 12 on one credit card. I was like, whoa, okay, this seems a little bit.
That makes a little more sense now, what she's saying. 6 different couples were compromised due to a form not being, like, you know what I mean? Like, it just sounds so stupid. To me, it does seem like this might have been an easy out, but the way she is kind of like handling it, I don't know. Like,
I think she's hand-waving it.
Maybe be reversed, but I feel like at the same time, like, they'll find another reason to disqualify her, because the French-speaking thing alone at the debate, I think, will end up leading to a disqualification, or might have been a contributor to this.
That makes me think she's not serious. I think that she's just doing it to be like for attention.
To be fair, Sarah,
like, to get
I missed that interview. I I forgot to watch it off stream because I was just dealing with a lot of stuff, and I forgot to watch that. Saul covered that on, I think,
which one?
Tuesday. The Carney Rosemary interview, the Rosemary Barton Carney interview.
Oh, you know what? I actually didn't watch it because I watched like it was like coverage afterwards. I thought it was the video, and we started to watch it, and it was like just clips with commentary.
Oh, I guess we got to watch that then eventually.
I was just talking to the chat the whole stream, so.
Oh, okay. Exactly. I put it on the list that day, and then
I think I've listened to it on my own already, but yeah, no, I didn't watch it on stream.
Yeah, Carney and Vasi, that would be good. I'd like to see him go on power play there.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
There's some promising
that one. I keep on touting it, but that one interview with Scaramucci, like they like him, they clearly do. But Scaramucci and the other guy, they ask really good questions, stuff that like I've heard people in our audience say about him. They specifically ask him. They're like, "What do you say about people who say you're a globalist? What are some specific policy points that you differ from Trudeau on?" Like they make him actually explain himself.
Dismissing
it's
those
good.
people and treating them like they're crazy is just such.
Scaramucci was in the Trump administration.
I mean? Like, it's like no, but that's what I mean. Is like they always jump just to treat people like they're like, oh, you must be crazy to think that, and it's just like you're just dismissing and making them feel stupid and belittling their views. You know, you're not actually even listening to them. So how are you actually going to be like? You know,
that's what I think that the right is so much better at right now is just like interacting with alternative media, because that's how so many people are getting their news. And for whatever reason, the liberals and the Democrats are just like so behind on this. Like they're still only like Kamala. She went on like one podcast or something. Like why? What do you gain from that? From being so safe, right? Like these guys are going on Aiden Ross and Theo Vaughn, and you don't
think they've adapted.
Yeah, it is. That is what it is. Yeah.
And you have a lot of graybeards, so to speak. Like I know that's like it's funny because that's like a video game term for like when you're talking about a game that's just not developing.
I think
anymore.
that if
you just say, "Oh, it's too many graybeards over there," they just don't care anymore. And I think that's kind of the situation with the liberals is that there's so many people in the back that outside of the elected officials and their the staff that are employed by these officials and everything. I think have this very old approach to things, and I think that with the conservatives, they were forced to just completely rebrand and renew, right? Because they hit such a rock bottom. So I feel like we're going to see that. And I think this upcoming administration, you're going to see this rebrand kind of take place. It's already kind of taking place, but anyways,
I think that because Trump was such an unpopular candidate at the end of 2020 as well, like Biden winning there they were able to just campaign on, oh, well, he's not Trump, right? But then in 2024, that wasn't enough anymore. You guys can't just ride on this isn't Trump for 2 elections in a row, right? They never had to make that adaptation. Like I think for the midterms they have, because a lot of the House members are good on social media, you know, like as much as people hate AOC, she's good at rallying people up on social media. Like that's something that she's one of the very few people on the left who's able to kind of do the same thing that Right's been doing.
She's not much older than us. That's just so crazy.
I know, but that's what I'm saying, right? Is having younger people like that in your movement.
Or Garnet Guinness is like 2 years older than me. He's like your age, and he's a conservative MP in Parliament.
Oh yeah. And
it's just funny. He's starting to feel like an adult. But anyways, sorry saying that's not even true. Again, I don't know if he's talking about what Saul's saying there, but
liberal policy. So I spoke to Dhalla about some of her policy pitches, including her plan to withdraw.
They think he lost
from
the election.
Paris Climate Accord.
Every leadership candidate has their own vision, and my vision is to ensure that I start focusing on the citizens of our country versus, all of the foreign conflict investments that we're making, or many of the other international agreements which we're signatory to, which actually need to be reviewed. My focus is going to be on the citizens of Canada. We have people that do not have jobs in our country. We have people who do not have a roof over their head. My constituency is speaking to those individuals who are living hand to mouth and struggling to make ends meet. That is the constituency that I am talking to with these progressive ideas, who want us and want the government and want the party to start focusing on issues here at home versus taking care of our neighbor's backyard.
But you talk about foreign conflicts. Does that sounds like Ukraine to me? Does this mean you would end Canadian support for Ukraine or reduce Canadian support for Ukraine? How should I interpret that comment you just said?
I think it is to do a reevaluation. A few weeks ago, or actually last week, we had President Trump, meet with a Russian president in regards, to the Ukrainian-Russian conflict, and Ukraine was not invited to the table. Right. When I did my interview in the United States, I actually said that as Prime Minister, I would invite, President Trump along with the Ukraine and Russian leadership to Canada to ensure that Ukrainians and Ukraine are actually included in this very very, very important dialogue. I did not agree with having Ukraine shut out of the discussions, about an issue that is actually affecting and impacting them. But I believe as a government, we need to do a complete review of our foreign spending to ensure we reprioritize our dollars to start investing right here at home on very important.
And I believe that's kind of what Pierre's actually been saying he's going to do with the halting of foreign aid, the temporary freezing foreign aid, just to deal with other issues. Like he wants to repurpose funds to build, to reinforce our Arctic border, things like that he was talking about. And I think that's when he first mentioned it in that little Arctic press conference he gave, where he literally flew to the territories to give a press conference at -40 or -30. It's just so funny, because I was like, what a based politician. Like, how smart was that to fly down there and do that? And it's funny, that whole situation. But anyways,
social programs and issues that many Canadian families are being impacted by.
So the current position of with Ukraine for as long as it takes would not be the position you would hold as leader, because that is what the allies of Ukraine have said, with the notable exception of Donald Trump since he returned to the White House. Is that what you're now saying, that the unlimited support that has been offered to Ukraine would no longer be unlimited?
Well, nothing can last forever. I think the whole point is to empower them, to give them the resources to be able to build back up and get them up and running on their 2 feet.
Okay, and you said you would invite Vladimir Putin to Canada to do a negotiation. Am I understanding that correct?
I would want Russia, I would want Ukraine, the people of Ukraine, to actually be included in those discussions. So that's why I think it is very important. We have Russia and the United States of America making decisions for Ukraine, about Ukraine, without having the Ukrainian voice at the table. Everyone needs to come together to sit down and actually negotiate a deal. But for that negotiation, Ukraine and the Ukrainian leadership needs to be at that table.
Okay, a reminder, that interview was conducted earlier this afternoon, before we learned of the meeting happening this afternoon to decide whether Dhalla should have been disqualified from the Liberal leadership race. She has been...
So how much why are they doing so much damage control, it seems like, for the Liberals here? Like, they're really trying to get to the bottom of this. Like, they're putting a lot more attention.
It's just a big story. A lot of people care about it.
Kicked out of the race after findings that there were 12 violations
of
the party's leadership rules. Those allegations include accepting donations from a
I forgot to put the towels away before starting the stream, and look at this. This keeps happening. Every time if I leave any folded towels out.
Oh, the cat.
She's just sitting on it.
Jeez.
Of payments to campaign staff. Dhalla was also accused of failing to disclose the involvement of a non-Canadian citizen in her campaign, which the party alleges would have amounted to foreign interference if this level of involvement had happened during an election period. Now, Ruby Dhalla has just tweeted saying, "I have seen the CBC News report alleging financial irregularities in my campaign. My response is simple. These allegations are fabricated, fictitious, and fake, and yet another attempt by unknown sources to have me removed from the debate and the ballot." Dhalla goes on to say a couple used their joint account credit card to make 2 donations for both the husband and the wife. This is entirely legal. The party withheld their donations while the required attestations were completed. Those were then submitted to Elections Canada. In the hundreds of donations that were received, this occurred 6 times. This is not a violation, she says. My campaign bears no responsibility for the donations of hardworking Canadians who believe in my campaign and my vision for Canada. Another fabricated violation. Now, we'll continue to track the fallout of the results of this meeting and bring you the latest on reaction to the decision. And Ruby Dhalla is, of course, welcome to rejoin us at any point between now and 7 p.m. Eastern Time to give her side of this and her reaction to the decision from the Liberal Party.
Okay, and she never went on.
Welcome back. We've got some developing news in the Liberal leadership race at this hour. The Liberal Party has met to decide if candidate Ruby Dhalla can stay in the race amidst allegations of fundraising irregularities. Now, we're going to try and bring you the latest on this developing story as it does happen. But Dhalla has posted this on social media. She says, quote, "I have just seen the CBC News report alleging financial irregularities in my campaign. My response is simple. These allegations are fabricated, fictitious, and fake, and yet another attempt by unknown sources to have me removed from the debate and the ballot." This news coming just ahead of the party saying that it is going to have those 2 leaders debates next week. It's really all in advance of the big convention on March the 9th, where the next Liberal leader and the next Prime Minister will be announced. Usually, These types of party debates are quite polite, with candidates agreeing with each other on a number of things and try not to be too divisive. So will anyone drop the gloves and land a real punch during this debate? And frankly, are we going to have all 5 of them there? We're not sure.
No, I think that they were looking for a reason. That's kind of what I said. As I said that they were looking for a reason to get rid of her. This seems kind of like a very basic. I feel like they should have went after the unable to speak French part, and they could have just eliminated her translator out of the debate. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that could have been a fair rule that I think a lot of people would have agreed with. Because if you were going to make that a party rule that they need to be a French-speaking candidate, it makes sense. You're not going to allow. You're going to do some questions in French. How hard they lean into that, I don't know. All the other candidates have very strong French, so if they really wanted to push her out, they could have just leaned really hard into the French, right? But at the same time, like, I don't know. To me, it just seems like a poor decision on the Liberals' part based off of an administrative issue. That's what it's starting to more and more to sound like than it did originally, than foreign interference. It sounds just like some people didn't fill out some paperwork because the paperwork wasn't submitted properly. And that's at least one of the things. Apparently there was a conglomerate of reasons as to, or violations supposedly, as to why they were going to remove her. This was just apparently the straw that broke the camel's back. This seemed like they were looking for something and they found it.
I also think that the one claim is getting the most attention because that's the initial excuse she gave. That's the first thing that she said that it was for. And then it turned out afterwards that there was other stuff as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that it's not surprising they'd want her out of the race, especially if she's going to like split the vote more internally. But I just don't think they want someone like that representing the Liberal Party. I think that ideologically they just didn't agree with her along a lot of things.
I just don't think that it actually had that much to do with it. I think that she wasn't ever a serious contender. She wasn't learning French. She didn't. I don't see it.
Well, yeah, because I think I'm not going to suspect malice where incompetence will do. So I'm not going to say this is a coronation of Carney. This is just vultures flocking to whoever they think is going to win for them. They're just a bunch of clapping seals, in my opinion. And I think all of us can agree on, all of us conservatives have that opinion about those certain Liberal MPs and stuff like that. So nothing malicious involved. Like I said, I wouldn't suspect malice where incompetence can do. And I think this is a combination of just people. Like, I'm not going to suspect there's some grand conspiracy to coronate Mark Carney when you can call it that because of how they're
don't
behaving,
need a grand. They don't need a conspiracy for it.
That's what I'm saying, right? Is I feel like they just love him. They're just like, oh, Mark Carney. They're just like getting like overly excited here. You know, about just the concept of someone who
That's
has
me.
a chance at damaging Pierce or taking
somebody
votes from Pierre.
Somebody who doesn't sound like an idiot in charge of the party. Holy!
Like, I think that public support.
We can only dream
in terms of the federal voting intention polls based on the Liberal leadership outcomes that were held by, I think, Angus Reid polling. Carney won every single time. Carney brought the biggest numbers for the Liberal Party towards Pierre out of any candidate. So I feel like they just want Carney to win 100%. I guess I don't know. To me, you can say it's a grand conspiracy. I think I need a little bit more to say it's a conspiracy. That's all I'm saying. But to me, it's just politics. This is just the game of ministers playing out before us. No worries, Rhonda. See you later.
Front bench: Sabrina Grover, Melanie Paradis,
see you, Rhonda.
and GroundedTV.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There was 10 leadership rules that were violated, right? So this is just, that was one of them, was the compromised funds, which I believe was more of a BS reason because of the other reasons. And maybe they just want, I don't know, maybe they just wanted, like, why not just disqualify her based off the other things? Like, why rope that into it, right? And they also made their decision before any investigations were concluded, right? The allegations were set out.
No, they didn't.
There was no
investigations were concluded.
There was no internal investigation. Like, okay, like
there was a committee assigned to investigate, and then she was given the chance to defend herself.
Internal committee of undisclosed names to the public. Like, go find the names. That's why they're calling it a secret committee, because the names weren't even disclosed.
A secret committee?
Like only the person who made the decision in the committee's name was actually disclosed. Because I guess it's a part of politics. They don't let other parties know who's part of those committees. I don't know, but I could be wrong on that.
I'll see if I can find them.
I'll start with you on this one. I mean, maybe a quick reaction to what we're hearing, not only from Dhalla, but some of the reports out there, and the fact that this could actually go down to a race of 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly if the allegations are true of Ruby Dhalla accepting financial donations from corporations. I think that obviously is a clear violation of the rules. And I think that, she's claimed there that it's unknown sources. I think it's the party. So it's not really an unknown source that's meant to disqualify her. So we'll wait to see what happens there. I don't think it changes the nature of the race or the dynamics of the race otherwise. But to your first question about the debates. So I do agree that I think that you've seen both a campaign from the Liberal leadership candidates that has been generally quite respectful and not really throwing punches within each other. And I think that was on purpose. I think we've come out of a time where the party did go through a lot of challenges where there.
Oh, yeah. Challenges is a pretty challenges. Your party basically blew up. Like your party got like challenges is a strong understatement for the Liberals. I gotta say, I'm sorry. This is come on. Trudeau has brought way more than this is unprecedented. This isn't just challenges.
There was a lot of internal strife, and I think it's the job of any leader to come together now after this, whoever wins, and actually build bridges within the party. And so I don't think you start that by having, a negative baseline during the campaign. When it comes to the debate, debates are not really about policy. People are not watching them for policy. They're watching them
the only
for
name I can find
leadership.
Is Azam Ishmael, the guy who's the party director.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I'll see if I can find. They might have it. It's internal party members that are going to be a part of it.
It does seem fishy, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't surprise me with the Liberals. And I just think that I don't know why I guess she's trying to cling to that party and revive it in the way she wants to. I don't know. The thing is,
well, wasn't there a guy in the conservative leadership committee or leadership race who was caught using foreign interference or something?
Well, no, he was
Peter something.
I don't know about Peter. I forget his name. I know you're talking about that was a while ago.
Yeah, but I'm just saying this isn't unheard of, right? Even the conservative leadership race had this kind of thing happening.
I don't know. This is a little different than that. This is the way that this was
a little bit different, yeah.
I think is how else would you expect Trudeau to handle it, right? That's kind of how this was handled.
Well, he's not in charge of the party though. He's the party candidate, but he's not the director of the party.
I understand that. I'm just saying this is the Trudeau liberal way of handling a situation, I feel like.
Sure.
And this is why it's definitely
how do you think they should have handled it?
At the same time, I don't know, just been more open about it. If they were going to disqualify her for any other reasons, it just seems like they jumped to something. It was Patrick Brown, by the way, that they jumped on whatever they could.
But I said
found
Peter.
The first reason, and that for whatever, why are they clinging so hard to these, compromised funds when they've been able to provide receipts and excuse for it, and then that being the main catalyst, I think was their big mistake and a poor decision on their part.
I don't think that was the catalyst.
It just makes them look like. Well, it looks like that was the catalyst.
No. It only looks like that because that's what she said.
That's also how
it
CBC's selling it. I'm just saying,
because that's what she said it was, and it is their fault. I know, but they're saying that because that's what she said it was, right? And it's the Liberal Party's fault because they could release more information, and then we wouldn't be going just off of Ruby Dalla's word.
I guess that's what I'm saying. There's just no transparency. Yeah. There's no transparency.
Yeah, there should be more transparency. I completely agree. Yeah,
that's why I think everyone's right and why everyone's speculating and why everyone's assuming corruption and the coronation of Carney, because of how everything's been going at this point and how it's all played out.
Yeah, it just doesn't help any of the optics of the situation. I agree.
I, for my own sanity, have to suspect incompetence over malice, just because at this point, we have our democratic system.
I just don't see a reason.
I just don't want to vote for this party, period. Anyways, I don't like the Liberals personally.
Yeah, exactly. So. What difference does it make for you?
Well, this person could be our next prime minister, right? So that's possible.
Exactly. Yeah. Do we want Ruby Dalla in charge of the country?
Mark Carney's the only one who said he's going to have an election right away. So that's the thing, right?
True.
Is Carney, and it's not that he said it, but he didn't say it. He wouldn't. And it's suspected because he's doing so well in the polls, and he had the strongest poll when it came to the Liberal leadership race outcome.
Yeah, why would he wait?
Poll. It would be stupid of him to wait. It would be. So I think, in a way, this is a good thing because I think they're putting the cart before the horse.
He's going to bleed support.
I think they're going to put the cart before the horse in this election, and then Pierre's going to come out with the hammers. And I feel like when it comes to Pierre and Carney debating, there's so much can happen where I feel
that's so exciting. I can't wait.
I had to bet. If I'm putting money on it, Pierre is going to be our next prime minister. I don't think anyone can take that away from him.
Yeah, me too. If I had to put money on it,
definitely take away his historic majority. However, that's just because of how much people hated Trudeau. And I think we all underestimated how much hate there was for Trudeau within the population, that they literally would have voted for the Conservatives just because they just didn't. He was the only reasonable candidate, Pierre, right? So
I'll go out on a limb for my boy too and say that, like, of all the liberal leadership candidates, he is by far the most likely to succeed. Like, it's not even close. Krista Freeland and Karina Gold don't stand a chance. Neither does Ruby Dhalla. You think she would have ever stood a chance against Polyev? I feel like that's almost the only reason anybody wanted her to win, was because she would be the worst possible one. Well, maybe not the worst, but
I think it was Angus Reid polling that modeled it out, but they're the ones who came with the poll of the federal voting intention based on the different leadership outcomes, from what I understand. And how far ahead Carney's outcome was doing in those polls is like, Trudeau hasn't had those numbers since his first term. You know what I mean? Like, the Liberal Party hasn't had those terms, hasn't had that since Trudeau's first term. So,
and ability to engage, an ability to communicate, and an ability to tell a message to Canadians. And so I think it'll be really interesting to watch this debate, because it'll be the first.
Well, I'm just not going to be so quick to hop on something like this. Like, I want to find out more about the Ruby Dhalla situation. Not to mention, I just saw her lying multiple times in that CBC interview. She seems like she doesn't have it very together. It's just like, why would I trust her? That just seems stupid.
Time, someone like Mark Carney is actually facing off against elected officials, right? Whereas Karina Gould and even Frank Bayless and Krista Freeland have been in the House before and know how to, have this back and forth in a respectful parliamentary manner. This is going to be the first time Mark Carney's ever stepped into this ring. And so I think it'll be really interesting to see how he does in that situation, and how both Ms. Freeland and Ms. Gould, push back.
He better be training right now.
Sabrina, I'll let you sort of declare who you've been supporting in this.
Yeah, I've been supporting Karina Gould.
Okay, just to be clear, make sure that we have it on the record whenever we have any one of these discussions. Mel, what do you think now happens going forward with this? And I'll let you, if you want to address what is happening with Ms. Dhalla, or if you want to get right into the debate, up to you. Take it away.
I mean, leadership races, I always say Murphy's Law applies. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong, including candidates being removed for reasons like this that we obviously don't have all of the information about yet, but I'm sure will be a really interesting story once we do. Look, debates, in this debate in particular, I think we're going to see all of the other candidates attacking Mark Carney as the front runner, and to see how he reacts, how he responds to that. Is his team able to prepare him for attacks from all sides? Because ultimately that's what I think Liberal members who are voting in this leadership are going to want to see, whether or not he can hold his own. Because, to Sabrina's point, no one's had the benefit of seeing him in public office before, and we can't tell whether he'll be able to withstand that. He also hasn't done a whole heck of a lot of media. He's done a lot of American media, but not as much in Canada. And so we've not seen how battle tested he is. So I think this debate is going to be...
You know what? 912ER, you're now my favorite person in this chat. He made a joke. Eat at the Ruby and get gassed. Anyone know what that's from? Corner Gas. So the best show ever. Yeah, I don't know why you said that, but that works perfectly.
That's so funny. Yeah, Justus is like a huge Corner Gas fan.
Be a real test for him, whether or not he is as I
gotta add that to my list. I gotta watch that show too. I haven't seen most of them.
Some Liberals think that he is.
Yeah, and just further to the point on Ruby Dhalla, there are some other tweets that we have here. One of them that she'd put out about half an hour ago, saying donors donated directly to the campaign instead of using a customized link. The campaign refunded the donations.
Yeah, see, different
and asked
explanation.
the donors to resubmit them via the customized link. These donations estimated $21,000. This was not a violation. She puts in all caps, yet another fake, false, fabricated story. And so she continues to respond to this one. Gerdeton, I'll let you, again, as I did with Mel, if you want to respond to what has happened to Ruby Dhalla, or about how these debates are shaping up.
I'll just say that in general, we know that there's been a very robust conversation about foreign interference in Canadian politics. And we know that there were early reports about possible foreign interference with relation to Ruby Dhalla's campaign. We also know that there's a pretty close connection between Ruby Dhalla and the Indian government. There's nothing, this is pretty public information on Prime Minister Modi's own YouTube channel. There's an endorsement video of Ruby Dhalla on that video.
Really?
And now we have...
What year was that from, I wonder?
This irregularity around questions.
Wait, can you rewind it a second? What did he say?
On Prime Prime Minister Modi's own YouTube channel. There's an endorsement video of Ruth Dhalla on that video. And now we have this irregularity around questions of whether she's in the campaign or not. There's sources reporting that she's no longer in the campaign because of this fundraising issue. I think as a whole, these are very serious questions that we need answers for. And I think beyond that, it just demonstrates how important it is that we have a robust response to foreign interference. And particularly, we need to make sure that India is continually being held account for what we're seeing are clear evidence of India's meddling in our politics, and also with direct examples of violence vis-a-vis the assassination of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil. So all of this really should just bring the issue of foreign interference to the forefront, and we should recognize that there are continual attacks against our democracy and our citizens by the Indian government and other foreign nations.
Okay, Sabrina, I've got about 45 seconds, and I'm going to give it to you. But I want to ask you specifically about the debates next week.
Yeah, we will. We'll find it and play it after this.
Especially how, and I'm not trying to pile on Ruby Dhalla, but just to speak about...
I don't even know if it'll be in English, though.
On the French debate, she had been asking, there are reports out there asking for a personal translator. How important do you think it is to see how these candidates react in French, especially when you consider that whoever wins this is automatically the Prime Minister?
I think it's incredibly important, and I think that the Liberals have made it very clear that having somebody who is able to speak in French and be participative in the French debate is important. I think you've seen all of the three frontrunner candidates
for sure.
prove that hand and time over again. So I think at the end, you know, the role of the debate is not necessarily to talk either about these policies or like these very nitty gritty things. I think it's about demonstrating not only to the Liberal membership and the Liberal registered people who are going to vote, but also to Canadians, how these folks are going to stand up for Canada and respond to the threat we're facing today. I think the ballot box question as we head into what could be a spring election is very clear. It's Canada versus the United States, and what that is going to look like is going to come down to how people respond in this debate.
Okay, and maybe less of a debate, more of a showcase, right, Sabrina? We're going to have to leave it there. Thanks very much to the front bench, Sabrina Grover, Melanie Paradis.
So
can we just stop?
I can't find anything about the Ruby Dhalla video that was recent. I think they're talking about previously from a long time ago. Modi did an endorsement video for it, because I can't find anything recently on that. First off, I got to say it was because of the sexy fish talk 912. That's what it was about. But anyways, that was just a corner gas joke for you guys. Yeah, so I don't know where that endorsement video is. I don't even think it's in English. But yeah, so from what we understand, like, we're going to just keep diving into this more, and I'm going to be diving into off stream, and we'll be commenting further as the story develops as well, right? Like, this is just the start of this. Like, this just happened yesterday, so we'll find out how this develops and what happens before the Liberal leadership race concludes, or it actually takes place.
I was just going to say, can you imagine if she actually won, and then we're in a 3-way or 4-way debate for the actual election, and the only candidate that can't speak French is the Liberal one? Like, give me a break.
Yeah, so to me,
it's so stupid.
What?
Like, if you actually are serious about becoming the Prime Minister of Canada, learn French. That's everybody else is doing it. You do it too. Like, I don't know why you think you get to just speed race into the Prime Minister job. Like,
or even that, just don't give her an interpreter for the debate and let her flounder on her own. Like, to me, it's like, if you could win the debate without speaking French, that's impressive. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it should have stood. It should have just stood on itself, on its own, right? It shouldn't have been, you know, but the problem is just that's not it's not the Liberal motive just to leave things be. It's like they're gonna meddle and try and tease and coach it the way they want it to go.
Here's the other thing too, though, is that, like, if you're gonna give her a translator, how much of the, like I just said, how much of the debate are you gonna waste translating for the one person that can't speak French?
No, I don't think they should get a translator. I said that. I agree with not getting a translator.
Okay. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Don't disqualify her from the race. Let her lose on her own, is what I'm saying. Let her lose.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that was the reason she got.
Decide, right? Let her stand on her own.
That's not how she got disqualified, though.
No, but I'm just saying, with that being one reason, people saying that's kind of the reason why they push her out. Like, there's just a lot of things, right? Like, it seems like, to me, I want to know exactly what these 10 reasons are. I want them all outlined, and I want to read through them all. And I'm not going to, like, that's kind of what I would have to go to get to a formal conclusion on this. I just don't like her, really, from what I've seen so far. I'm like, she seemed to be contradicting herself a lot in those interviews, where I just seem like, okay, well, you're not coming off very trustworthy, right? Like, that's how I see it.
That's how I feel too.
Now, if it's their word against yours, you know, granted the Liberals aren't, you know, actually, you know, it's hard because she is a Liberal. It's like, how do you choose between like
exactly
two rocks? Like, you know, like she
I don't know. I mean,
as well. Like she's part of the Liberal Party. Like you know what I mean? Like it's like, to me as a conservative, I'm just like, you know,
if you were doing an interview and you had to hire either like Karina Gold or Ruby Dhalla to work with throughout the week, every day, who would you pick? It'd be a hard choice.
I cannot stand Karina
Gold. But come on.
I cannot stand Karina Gold.
I'm just saying, if it was actually between you'd rather work with Ruby?
Well, Karina Gold, I just despise Karina Gold. I just do not like
I feel
Karina
like
Gold.
Ruby would call in sick all the time, and then when you fired her, she'd say you were being racist.
What? Well, that's what I find kind of crazy, that she's pulling the race card on this one.
Breaking news this hour. Liberal leadership candidate Ruby Dhalla has been kicked out of the race to replace Justin Trudeau, just days before two leadership debates are to be held in Montreal next week. She faced a range of allegations, including involvement of a non-Canadian citizen in her campaign and financial irregularities over donations to her campaign. Dhalla says some donors donated directly to the campaign.
See, that's what I mean. Those were the catalysts, right? And that's where I find that, like
Ruby said that. Ruby said that. Ruby said that was the reason.
Instead of using
Except for the foreign national. The foreign national being involved with her campaign came out from somebody else. I think it was a leaker in her own campaign staff, wasn't it?
I missed exactly who leaked that detail, but from what I understand, that was what you read, I'm guessing, because when I've been watching, I haven't.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
What Cochrane was saying that allegedly there's rumors of, but he didn't say someone specifically said. He just said there's rumors.
That it was an anonymous source.
So come on.
And those were refunded, involving an estimated $21,000. Her campaign says 6 couples donated using the same credit card. And the Liberal Party released a statement on this disqualification. It says in part that its leadership committee found Dhalla was in breach of 10 violations of leadership rules. It goes on to say the violations include concerns about alleged violations of the Canada Elections Act, certain election finance matters, and inaccurate financial reporting. Earlier, Dhalla denied the allegations, saying in part, these allegations are fabricated, fictitious, and fake, and yet another attempt by unknown sources to have me removed from the debate and the ballot. We are joined by Ruby Dhalla herself, former Liberal MP. Ruby, good evening, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here today.
Let me begin by asking you on your reaction to what has come to surface and your disqualification from the Liberal leadership race.
Well, it is very shocking because I actually learned about the disqualification from watching the news media reports, and just moments ago received an email from the party. I would think that someone that is running for the leadership race to become the leader and Canada's next prime minister, that the party would have had the courtesy to inform me directly instead of having me learn about this from media reports. I can tell you that the allegations that are being made are false, they're fictitious, and they're fabricated. I will not allow anyone to smear the name of our campaign and all of the hard work of thousands of volunteers. But most importantly, I think it was an effort by the Liberal Party of Canada to ensure that I was kept off of the debate stage, that I was kept off the ballot, and that they could complete the coronation for Mark Carney to become the leader of the Liberal Party.
Let me ask you about the question and answer and an opportunity for you to directly address the committees. Can you tell us a little more about that? Because in a statement that has been released by the National Director, it clearly says that you had an opportunity to clarify your stand about these alleged allegations.
You know, every one of the allegations that were made, I continued to remind them during the committee meeting that they were being fabricated. We had provided all of the supporting documentation and all of the proof, but the Liberal Party appears had a predetermined agenda. Besides saying on the face of it that there was a process set up, it was a predetermined agenda. There were people that were informed last night that this disqualification would be coming minutes before I actually started the interview process with this committee, I had received text messages from two separate individuals stating that the outcome of the meeting before it had started would be that I would be disqualified. And I think that is because they wanted to silence myself. I was the only outsider in the race. I was the only outsider in the race that was speaking about progressive policies that I believed are the need of the hour in our country. And it is very evident that the party did not like that, and they did not want me to bring those progressive policies to the debate stage in Montreal.
You know, Ruby, those who are listening to you at the moment may also say that this seems like a case of sour grapes in the manner in which you are at the moment blaming the Liberal Party for the decision that has come against you. You are saying this was a predetermined...
Sour grapes. That's such a funny way to say it.
So my question is, if you thought this was really the case, why fight for the race up until today and not tell the media, if you wanted to, or someone else, that there was an agenda already running against you?
Well, number one, you know, I'm a fighter. I was born and raised in Winnipeg. I have fought uphill my entire life, overcome many obstacles and challenges. I was running for the leadership of the Liberal Party, a party that I have been involved with since the age of 14. And I can tell you, I fought right to the end. As I shared minutes before this committee meeting, I received two separate text messages from people in the media that had already been informed that I would be disqualified. You know, one would give up and not even complete,
let's see the text messages.
You know, the interview that I was supposed to do minutes later, but I still presented my case because I knew that I had all of the proof and the information. It's certainly not a case of sour grapes. I mean, the party, they do not want an outsider. They do not want the establishment to be questioned. And to be very honest, I had not gone to the media prior because I was honoring an NDA that I did have with the party in regards to the leadership process rules. And because I was a fighter, because I was speaking on behalf of thousands of Canadians that wanted to bring our party back to the center, thousands of people who saw great victory in me making history as the first woman of color, the first woman from, you know, an immigrant community that was running for the leadership of any political party, and one of the first women of color that was running to become prime minister. This was very historic. I did not share anything with the media, despite all of the challenges that I was having, because I felt like I owed it to my team, to the campaign, and to so many Canadians that believed in me.
Ms. Dhalla, I'd like to just go back to the statement because I want to understand. It says that the violations include concerns about alleged violations of the Canada Election Act, certain other election financial matters, non-disclosure of material facts, and inaccurate financial reporting. While you're saying this is fabricated, while you're saying this is baseless, can you throw some more light on the line of questioning you've had to answer looking at these specific allegations against you?
In the coming days, I will be sharing, you know, the information because I have nothing to hide. I run a very transparent process, giving the party all of the information that they did require. I can share with you
so much
that
opportunity
donors,
to explain
you know,
yourself.
that had donated to the campaign. There were 6 donors, 6 couples, I should say, 12 donors who donated on the same credit card. The reason being that they only have one credit card between husband and wife that they have a joint bank account for. It is completely legal. It is not a violation of the Elections Canada Act. And all that had to be done was an attestation form. That was not an issue related to my campaign, but of the actual donors, with receiving thousands of donors, not only in my campaign, but other leadership campaigns who had to do that attestation. There was another issue in regards to a link where there was a problem. No other filings have been done with Elections Canada. So for the party to say that we've been in a breach of a potential or a future Elections Canada filing is slightly fabricated because no filing to Elections Canada for the expenses of the campaign have yet been made.
Okay, let me ask you this in terms of the process, because you would know them the best. Do you have a right to appeal? And if you do, are you going to do it?
Well, you would think that I would actually know the party, but I myself, along with our supporters, are questioning that. They had Chandra Arya first kicked out. They have now disqualified me. I've learned about it through the media, and that's just really unfortunate. I have always believed that the Liberal Party is a champion for immigrants in our country, but with a continued pattern of the party to kick out, you know, any immigrant voices that, you know, are progressive.
Okay, any immigrant voice. That's what I mean. It's like she keeps coming to this. It's like, that's your reasoning. That's the hill you're going to die on.
policies, I think that really makes one question if this is the right party for Canadians in Canada.
So are you saying,
yeah, like I think if there's any reason they want her out, it's her policies and her approach to immigration. And
that's what I would think. Yeah.
She was like, I didn't even know she was a liberal when I was reading some of the stuff she was saying before, and I was like, holy crap, she's a liberal MP, because she was saying a lot of the same stuff. Like honestly, it was like more Republican rhetoric than even conservative in Canada.
She sounds and looks like somebody from Trump's campaign. That's how I see it. Not entirely, because she did say that one thing about Ukraine. She's clearly not towing the line there, but
in everything she's saying, the race card constantly is not that they don't do that in Trump's campaign. Like,
they do.
They pull the race card.
They do when it's makes sense for them to do it.
Going to appeal, or there is no provision for you to appeal?
We're going to be taking a look at the rules. I literally received the email announcing the disqualification just minutes before I was getting ready to go on air. So our team is looking at that, and we will be deciding in the next coming days.
Ruby Dhalla, appreciate you coming on the channel and expressing your point of view.
Former Liberal leadership candidate Ruby Dhalla says she found out she was being kicked out of the race from CBC News.
What do you say that it was unanimous?
Well, I think it speaks to the state of the Liberal Party of Canada that a candidate who is running to become leader of the party, who is running to become prime minister in our country, is finding out that she has been disqualified on air.
Okay, we watched this. Sorry, they're just playing the clip there. So, like, what are your final thoughts on this? Like, what would you say if you were to, put a pin on this? You're just thinking she's full of crap. She was caught red-handed.
Until I see something else. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything seems like she's just full of crap. Yeah.
Like, to me, I just think
like you said, she's lying
multiple times, right? Like, that's what I don't understand is everyone's getting upset, but like, did you guys not see her contradict herself too? Like I did? Like, why are we just putting up blinders for that? Sorry, not just I feel like I don't understand that. Like, I don't understand why we need to put up, like, how are we doing ourselves any favors? I feel like we're just like ignoring the facts we don't want to see, right? And I think this is kind of what everyone's accusing the Liberals of always doing. So like, as a conservative, I feel like we have to be mindful of that. Like, I don't know, to me, I'm just like, I don't want to be the one to do that. So I'm trying to approach this non-partisanly and just look at it in a way of like, hey, like what is going on here? Like, how else are we gonna get to the bottom of these situations if we don't look at it that way? And instead of being so tribal and like, oh, how dare you go against the ideology of the other heretic? And I feel like that kind of happens on the right as well as the left. And it's just this weird thing that's become like acceptable in our society. I feel like to like just hold someone up and just, I don't know. It's just like this weird way of dealing with this. Like, to me, it's like, why does it even matter? Like, if you're not a liberal, why would you even care? If you're someone who planned on voting for her within the Liberal Party and you're a liberal, then I understand your frustration and maybe you think this is ridiculous. And I suggest you write a strongly worded letter to your party expressing your frustrations and saying you're a liberal member. And I think this was strongly handled poorly. I think that the reason given for dismissing her was ridiculous. And we'd like to, have some more information come to light on this, because I feel like that's something we need to, you know what I mean? Like,
also, I don't know if anybody's challenging me in the chat about it, but after I said that thing about Trump campaign people saying that they were the victim of racism, I can't think of any specific examples. I remember having it might have just been something I saw on Twitter or whatever, where I was like, why are you guys playing this card? I've seen the sexism one a lot, that they just don't want like a woman in charge and stuff like that. But I don't know, maybe that's just, I can't even think of where I saw that. So
yeah, and there was I just
don't take what I'm saying seriously in that regard, like with that specifically, because I was trying to think, I'm like, where am I getting that idea? And I don't know. I feel like I've seen it, but maybe I haven't.
Anyways, I was just gonna say, I feel like this whole thing is it's theater, right? Whether or not it's some plan to coordinate Carney or it's just some standard politics. I just feel like, we're not in the Liberal Party, so we're not going to be able to find out all the exact details. They won't even disclose as part of the committee. You know what I mean? Like, so take this with what you will. They have zero transparency. So if they want to increase public trust, they're doing a horrible job at it for the Liberals, anyways. I got to say, with this stuff with Ruby Dhalla, like I said, I don't really see the point in trying to pretend like there's not some holes in her story there. And that's not the only reason she was dismissed. That was the main reason they're going with on paper, which again, I think was a poor decision on their part. So I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that, Saul, or
I don't know. I just don't think there's anything fishy happening here. I think that it doesn't surprise me that if you had to ask me, guess which member got kicked out for a whole bunch of financial problems, you'd asked me this 2 days ago or something, I would have guessed her, you know, like, or financial issues or foreign interference or something. Like, I don't know. It was a weird campaign. It was weird that she didn't want to learn how to speak French. It's weird that she's giving a whole bunch of Republican talking points while running in the Liberal leadership campaign. It already seemed really weird, right? I don't know. Maybe I am approaching this a little bit in bad faith, but I just don't.
Yeah, Saul
I just don't. I
really...
can't take this seriously. I just can't take it seriously. Like, I just think that she wasn't a serious candidate. That's my personal opinion. And I think that there's no reason for them to like intentionally throw her under the bus for something. It may just make sense to me. Maybe she just broke the rules and she couldn't defend herself. I mean, even on the air, she's given a chance over and over and over and over again. What were they questioning you about? What did you have to defend? Because they don't know. They're just going off her word right now, right? And she won't say what it was. And I think it's because she doesn't actually want to tell people.
And I hope the Liberal Party, if there is something else that happened,
I hope that there's something. I hope something comes out
going on, because
they absolutely should.
Everyone, you know, she's got like, you know, it's smart.
Everybody shouldn't be left to speculate.
It's smart for her to angle it this way, in my opinion. That's what I gotta say. But yeah, I don't know why a lot of people are so upset about this on the conservative. Like, we have like usual conservatives in our chat getting like upset about our opinion on this. I just think it's funny because it's like, you guys are such hypocrites. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like you're looking at one side with rose-colored glasses, I think. But anyways, besides the point, I don't think it matters anyways. I think Carney's going to win regardless, even if they had let her stand. Like, I did not see any
He's the clear front runner
with her doing well, and I did not see one. So if you guys have some that you saw and you have the links to, please share it in the Discord. I'd love to take a look. I'm curious as well to see that, because I did not see any of that. So
the whole thing saying she's not a minister too is weird. It's all weird.
Yeah, but this whole situation, like we covered this today. This was like the biggest thing going on right now, I felt, and I thought it was good to touch up on, just because it's kind of a big deal when you have these
that was a good topic.
Candidates be disqualified. But yeah.
I didn't even think to do this today. Justus is the one who said it, so thank Justus.
I don't think there's a lot of interest
coming
in
in
this
clutch
topic.
again.
Like, I don't think there's a lot of interest in this topic. Maybe
I think there is.
The political sphere. But in terms of
no, not with normal people, but just with, you know, people like us.
Yeah,
this is a big story.
Around, but anyways, we'll be back on Monday. Monday, we're going to be starting at 10 a.m. As long as everything goes to plan. So yeah, if anything changes, you know, right now I'm kind of dealing with a lot. So I'll tell you guys what it is once it's all wrapped up. Just because it's trying to make something happen. It might not happen, but if it does happen, then I'll let you guys know what's going on. But until that. Yeah, but anyways, we'll be back Monday. Appreciate all your support. Appreciate those who like the stream and those who dislike the stream. Well, there's a couple of you.
Thanks for coming in today, Hurricane.
Yeah, it's just, anyways. Thanks
again,
have a good one, guys.
Yeah.
Hope you guys have a great day. We need to go SNC Lavalin stuff. Okay. But anyways,
we did that on stream a little while ago.
We'll do that, and yeah, I'm not trying to like generalize everybody in a sense, but like from what I see. We get a lot of comments. We get a lot of feedback from our viewers. So when I'm saying, I'm tired of our conservative viewers saying this, I'm talking about everybody as an average through our comments, through everything. But yeah, anyways, I appreciate you guys and respect all your opinions. Otherwise, we're trying to reach some kind of middle ground here on GroundedTV to be able to move forward.
Well, hear each other out, I think, is the big thing. You don't have to agree with people. And like, this is what I try to say over and over again. And like, people get upset. They think I'm being biased towards a certain side. It's never a certain side. There are certain people that I really don't like and that I don't trust. And I think they're just full of crap all the time. I mean, like, you see me do it with Jagmeet Singh and Justin Trudeau too. I have a really hard time giving those guys any good faith anymore because they've burned it all. Right. And, I like conservatives that are honest. I do. I personally like them. Like, I wish I'm so thankful to see them. And I'm like, oh, like, it's more of an oddity in the States. I think Canada is actually pretty good generally. But yeah, I don't know. Just wanted to say, yeah, hear each other out, listen to the reason you believe everything, and at least you can understand each other, right?
Yeah, and even though we preach all this, we fall victim to human nature a lot of the time. And make
absolutely, yeah.
Well. And I think it's everybody, right? Like, you know, anyways, but thanks guys for tuning in. We appreciate y'all. And yeah, please like, subscribe. We're one subscriber away from 2,700. So whoever subscribes next is our 2,700th subscriber. So just so you know. Anyways,
thank you.
Thanks guys. Have a great day.
Have a good one, guys. See ya.